Da, 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 da. You are
What?
live. All of them start with me going, we're live. Like, I'm really excited that it's happened. Hello and welcome. This is the Confidence Academy. TCA live stream happens every week, 8 p.m. Thursday, it's 8 p.m. It's Thursday. And I'm here this week with Kristi Hiller, who was my guest on the podcast this week. And we are going to be talking all about self-love. Now, before we get into that, I'm going to get Instagram to come and join the party, which may or may not work. It's always a little temperamental. And we'll just see. They might be able to come and they might not. For a start, I can never remember how to do it. Oh, see, Kristi was just telling me how techie I am. Like, this isn't in action. I'm really not. I'm not at all techie because now I don't know what I'm doing. Why can't I remember what to do? There we go. There we go. Oh, I always forget it's along the bottom. There we go. Right. Let's go live on Instagram. The Instagram connection is always a bit iffy.
Yeah.
But we're live. Hello, Instagram. Now, I feel like I need to point out, especially to Instagram, that I'm wearing my social media kindness t-shirt this evening. This is the symbol for social media kindness. Where's my camera? There. That's the symbol for social media kindness. And this is a t-shirt that I bought because I'm actually on it. Where am I? I'm here. This is me. Doing the side of Instagram. There we go. And I feel like it's quite apt. We've got people joining us. Hello, guys. If you're joining us on any of the platforms, then say, hey, Instagram, I'm going to see you over here. Facebook peeps, hey. We won't see your names unless you type your names or unless you have joined StreamYard. So if you're going to comment, just leave us your name as well. Otherwise, we won't say your name and then you'll think we don't love you. And it's just not true. But yeah, I thought the social media kindness was kind of apt because tonight we're talking about self-love. And I think those two things are actually intrinsically linked. And I think, you know, whether it's bullying on social media or any kind of outburst towards another person, I think often that is rooted in some kind of disconnect from like being able to love who you are and knowing your own value and your own worth. So I thought I'd wear my shirt anyway. So Maya Riaz, if you're watching this at any point, shout out to Maya. This was her whole foundation. It's now become an entire foundation. It was just a day. And now she's created a whole foundation out of it. So shout out to Maya for that. So Kristi, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
I'm excited for this conversation. Oh, Carol Pegg. Carol, I can see your name and everything. Hello.
I can't see anything.
I'm so excited. So, Kristi, I don't know at your end if you've got a banner down the side and it says comments at the top. If it does, you'll be able to see them as well. But I don't know if that's something that only I can see. Maybe it's just me.
I can see. Hi, Carol.
Yay! Oh, this is very exciting. Carol, you're the first person on one of these live streams who's had their name come up when they commented. So I feel bad that I don't have a prize for you. I feel like there should be a prize. Hello to everyone on Instagram as well. Welcome. So we are having a conversation about self-love. It's off the back of the podcast episode that went out this week. And tonight we're asking the question, what does self-love mean to you? So we would love to hear what you've got to say about that. But we would also love to hear if you've got any questions about anything to do with the concept or the idea of self-love. So to kick us off, I'm going to ask Kristi to answer that question. What does self-love mean to you? What's that definition as far as you're concerned?
Self-love to me is empowerment. Self-love to me is something that I don't think I could live in this world as I do without. Because there's just we've been hurt, and you know, we have all these different masks that we've been taught to wear, and I think until you just figure out who you really are and accept that part of you, you know, then there's an allowance to shine in the world a little bit. You know, I think so often we're just so scared, and we're just not connected to our true spirit, and I think without that self-love, you just don't have the power to be in the world as well as you could.
I totally agree. And, you know, the thing is, I think for most people, I'll say most, because it's never a blanket thing. There's always going to be an exception to the rule. But I think most of us are born without this idea that we're anything but love, right? When we're born, unless it's into an unfortunate circumstance, for the most part, love is what we're born from love, and then we're born into love. If you're lucky, you're born into a loving family, you're, you know, absolutely showered with it. And so, you know, I look at my little girl right now who's nearly 3. She currently has no concept of not loving who she is. She thinks she's friggin' awesome. You know, she walks around the world.
Yeah.
If you say to Sophia, "Are you beautiful?" she goes like this. Like, she absolutely knows it. She's like, "You better believe I'm beautiful, and I know I'm special, and I know I can wrap you around my little finger." And she, like, there's no apology about that. And then as we go through life and as we get older, we encounter different circumstances and scenarios that make us question whether we ever had the right to feel like we were worthy of love in the beginning. And obviously for people, it massively varies. You know, there are people like me who I would think I would class myself as really fortunate, because aside from the usual like bullying in school and that kind of crap, I've always been surrounded by love. So actually, on that level, having love for myself has never been difficult, because I've always had people around me that are close that have backed up that belief. And so even if I've had moments of you know, forgetting that I'm lovable, or forgetting that I have something worthy to say, or anything like that, I'm lucky that I'm surrounded by family and friends, and even online friends, that will quickly kick me back and be like, nah, this is what's true, you know?
Right.
But I know there are so many people in the world who are not that fortunate. And even if they grew into a loving environment, they maybe then had encounters which, like you said, disconnected them from that soul truth. What I wanted to talk about tonight, and by the way, guys, anyone watching live, we've got a bunch of people on Instagram as well. Hello. Anybody watching live, if you've got any questions at any point for Kristi or for me, just go ahead and put them in the comments. And if you're watching this on the replay, hello to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. You can also tap into the comments. If you use the hashtag replay, then we will come back and we will answer those questions later. Also, just as an aside, there is the Confidence Academy podcast Facebook group that Kristi is now in, and we can carry the conversation on over there as well. So I'll be posting that video here, there, and, you know, any questions can be posted there as well. But here's a question I have, right? Because I feel, and I'm going to go really deep, really quick. Because why not, right?
Yeah.
Because I think, like, for me personally, when it comes to self-love, I think for the most part, I have self-love. Like, I value myself as a human. Mm-hmm. I believe that's where my confidence stems from. I believe that's why I'm able to do the job that I do. I believe that's why I've been able to do the things I've done previously, like getting up on stage as a singer, teaching people to sing, and all of that. It all stems back, I think, you know, every time I chose to better myself was an act of self-love. Every time I chose to take a course or read a book or even just have a bubble bath, that was an act of self-love. So I think on many levels, I have that down, right? However, this is where I want to go deep with it, because right now in this situation, and you guys know me, I'm raw, I'm real, I don't hide anything, because like I believe that's why I'm here. Right now, I have started to struggle with my weight. Now, this is not something I'm not going to say I've never struggled with my weight before, because I've definitely been overweight before, but I don't think I ever cared before. And I've noticed now that I've got a lot bigger than I'm comfortable being. And I'm not getting into a discussion about what's too big and what, like, I'm not getting into that, because I think it's subjective and I think it's a personal thing. For me personally, when I think of like the best version of me, I see myself fit, healthy, and in shape. And right now, I am not fit. I guess I am healthy, but I'm not in shape, right? So an act of self-love for me would be to start doing the things that I know to do. I absolutely know that I can cut out sugar. I absolutely know that I can eat my 3 meals a day. My every 3-hour meals with protein and carbs, palm-sized portions every 3 hours, cutting out, the sugary things and all of that, upping my intake of water and exercising. And I absolutely know I can do all of that and I will get the result because I've done it before. And yet here's the thing, I am not capable of doing that right now. Every day when I wake up and I look in the mirror and I go, oh God, I'm fat. Like, I'm getting fat. I don't want to feel like this. I want to eat something good. Then I don't do it and I eat something crap and then I feel crap and it's going in a cycle. I'm so interested in this mindset because I'm huge on mindset. I feel like I've got all the tools and yet I'm still not doing it. So in your opinion, Kristi, does that show that there's some part of me, therefore, that is not valuing myself? Or do you think it's something deeper than that? I told you it would be deep.
Yeah. No. And we can all relate to all those things that you say, whether it's weight or a relationship or something you want, right? Because we all want something, because like Esther Hicks says, I quote a lot of people because I just don't want to steal from people, but we all think we'll feel better in the having of something.
Right.
And the key is there's no perfection. Like there's nowhere to be. Now you have the intelligence and the guidance already that says, I'm somewhere that I don't really love. So my first always to people is first accept where you are. This is where you're at. This is where you got your boat. So it's okay because there's a way out, and you just rattled all the things you know to do. You know what to do. So this is the thing. People know what to do. The key here is you're not doing it. So you're like, why am I not doing it? And I know you love yourself. And I do believe deep down, everybody does. Mm-hmm. But loving yourself doesn't get you the result. It's not enough. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm a firm believer of educating yourself in terms of what are you lacking? You either don't have the skill to get it done, which this is not your situation because you just rattled off all the things you know to do. First of all, so I was going to say self-love's one thing, but then we have self-doubt. And it's the self-doubt that sabotages what you really want to, bring out your self-love. But if you've got self-doubt, now you're small again, right? Mm. So, when you get up in the morning, you have to make a decision to be like, okay, I know I need to lose some pounds, but what beautiful eyes I have. I love my hair today. There's so many things about you that you already love, but where is your focus? Your focus is on what's wrong with you, which, so what? Like the acceptance too is, so what? You're a couple pounds overweight. Who said we have to be a certain way? So I'll go back to your set point. You have a set point, not society. Screw that. You have a set point. You're not within it right now because balance is like, ugh. That's up to you. So do or don't do it, but don't beat yourself up because you're not. Just know with your self-talk that I have something I want and I'm going to achieve it. And you know why? Because I have the power within myself to handle it. I can't blame everybody else. I can't blame sugar. I'm not creating the space to make it important. Own it.
Yeah.
Own it. Yeah.
I so agree with that. And actually you said something just now. What was it that I wanted to pick up on? The set points. I want to talk about set points because I love this, right? I learned about this years ago when I was at a conference for money, actually. So it was nothing to do with weight, but it was to do with money. And it was with the wonderful Ann Wilson, who's written a book called The Wealth Chef. She's phenomenal, by the way. If you want to learn about how to increase your monetary value, like money in the bank through investment, but in language that is actually easy to understand, you need to read The Wealth Chef. So anyway, I was at this conference. My friend had gifted me a place and Anne was doing her spiel and being brilliant. And she started to talk about set points and she used weight as an example. So for anybody watching who doesn't know what we're talking about, it's this idea that we all have these set points. They're like emotional set points, and you have a high set point and you have a low set point. And this is why, we'll use weight as an example just because that's the conversation we're having right now. It's why so many people have this experience, right? Because at the moment, I have reached what I would say is is the biggest I am prepared to be before I will start to take action, right? So
Yeah.
I'm at the point where my clothes aren't fitting comfy. I don't like what I'm seeing in the mirror. I don't weigh myself because I don't believe in that anyway, because when I lost weight before, the weight on the scales actually went up because I was building muscle. So
exactly.
I don't pay attention to scales, but I pay attention to how I feel, right? Always. It's just, how do I feel? Because like Kristi just said, there's no chalkboard in the sky that says we've all got to be, so many pounds or stone or whatever. It's all relative and it's all you, which is why I don't agree. It's kind of why I shut it down immediately, because I knew there would bound to be somebody that would think or say, oh, you're not big. Like, I know I'm not big. They're not about to remove the side of my house to crane lift me out of the house. I know I'm not huge, but I'm bigger than I choose to be. And I have reached that set point where I am not prepared to get any bigger. And that has propelled me into action almost. I'm not quite there, but I think it will.
I was going to say, you already decided you weren't going to do anything about it. So there you go. There's your decision, right?
Exactly. And that's so crucial. It is a decision, right?
Yeah.
And it's not nice to hear, but it's absolutely true. Yeah. Whatever you're dealing with right now, and quite often we feel powerless, don't we? Like, so many people feel powerless over their weight because they'll go, oh, but I want this, but this is my situation. And oh, it's not my fault because this happened, that happened, blah, blah, blah. It's cool, but you did make a decision. You made a choice. And sometimes the choice is to not put yourself under the pressure of having to follow a diet or having to exercise every day. It's absolutely fine if that's your choice, but it's knowing that that was your choice. So powerful. Yeah. So I've currently reached that set point. So what will now happen in the coming weeks is something will shift within me and I will start to take action. I will start to do the exercise. I will start to eat right. I'll start to cut out the bad stuff. And my weight will start to come down and I will get back to the shape that I feel happy being. And then what happens? Kristi, go. What are you going to say?
Well, no, with that, Lily, I just want you to also be aware of your beliefs about it, because we have some really funny beliefs about how this comes about. And again, we've bought into everybody's story, and it's like there's sugar issues, and then there's gluten issues, and then there's all these things that we take in. Your body is very intelligent. If you just listen to what you really need, it'll talk to you. And so, be careful about thinking what you have to do. Your body actually knows what you have to do.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
A lot of time it's just no. And like, when I say ask your guidance and stuff, it's like, ask for it to be easy. And it is like magic. All of a sudden you just don't go to the bag of chips. But I'm going to tell you right now, I eat chips almost every day. I mean, so nobody can tell me that chips make you fat. Like that belief doesn't trigger to me, because I'm like, well, it doesn't for me. Good for me. Like it doesn't. And then all of a sudden you're inspired to just go for a walk, get outside, just be in nature, but do what you enjoy. Like, to set yourself up for success. I talk a lot about joy. What brings you joy? Get to know you. If you don't love running, don't run. There's so many other things you can do. You just got to figure out what works for you. And just, again, it's being consistent, follow through. There's no results where you don't put in your efforts, right?
I so agree with that. And actually, you've brought up a really good point, because, and I'm saying this because I know there'll be other people watching that are doing the same thing. We've told ourselves, whether consciously or subconsciously, that it has to be hard.
Totally.
So I would make myself go for a run, because it's like, you've done this to yourself. Now you will pay, and now you will run for like however long. And like, running's a funny thing, because actually I'm not a natural runner. I don't love it. It hurts a lot of the time in all the places, and it hurts my chest, my knees hurt, whatever. However, last year, probably a little later in the year than we are now, I would say around March is when my mindset shifts. I have no problem doing any of this stuff from March onwards. There's something about the spring and then the summer that I'm like, I'll eat all the salad, I'll do all the walks and the runs, and I can do it. I just don't like the winter. And I mean, that's what it is. So to a certain degree, I do sort of down tools around September, October time. I'm like, okay, we're going into hibernation now. I'm just going to eat all the crap, pile on the weight, and then lose it again next year. Which is a weird system. But, again, choice, right?
Okay.
It's my choice.
Yeah.
but it's interesting to me because I probably would choose something that wouldn't be the most enjoyable thing, because it almost then when we don't do it, it's like, oh, because it's so hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is self-sabotage at its best, isn't it?
And then you feel bad about it again. So then your self-talk is negative to yourself. And that, when I say, when I say be your own best friend, I mean that it's in any arena. Like, you got to be like, it's okay. It's okay if I didn't go for a run today. Maybe we'll do something different tomorrow. Or, you just have to decide.
Absolutely.
And it's not hard. It's just not hard. What's hard is letting yourself be to a place that you don't enjoy being. That's hard.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I've been here with money before. It's not always weight. I've been here with money before. And I know there are a million other examples. And those set points we were talking about, it's the same thing. You all watching, you have an amount that you can't imagine having more of, like in your account, right? Most people will have that set point. For some people, that's 500 quid. For someone else, it's 5 billion, right? And it's just an emotional set point. And you have a lower set point that you can't imagine dropping below. So for some people, they can't imagine having less than £10,000 in their account or more. There's other people that they're okay with having zero in their account, but they can't imagine being overdrawn. There are other people who are like, it's okay if I'm overdrawn. I live in my overdraft, whatever. Like, I live, moment to moment, whatever. Sometimes I can't eat. Everybody's different, and it's all energy. And this set point thing I find so fascinating. And basically, when you get near to your comfortable set point, that tends to be when you relax things. So if we're talking about money, when you've got a comfortable amount of money, that would probably be when you might stop doing your money affirmations, and when you might stop tracking, and when you might just let a few things slip, right? And then you kind of spiral back to where you were. It's this constant game. But the beautiful thing about set points is you can increase your set point, right? Or you can decrease it depending on which end of the spectrum you're looking at. So there's nothing to say that I have to get to this place every time before I get to be healthy again. I could decide energetically to have my set point much lower, where even half a stone on fuels me into action, right? And it's funny that we've gone in this direction, but this is an intuitive show and this is how it goes, right? And I always speak from my own experience first, because I just think if I'm dealing with this, I'm not the only one. And I know that in lockdown, I mean, my husband, God bless him, he's really supportive in that when I'm stood there going, oh, I'm fat, he's like, it's lockdown, we're all fat. I'm like, I get that. I don't choose it though. It's not where I want to be, right? No. But absolutely, I'm not beating myself up about it, and I will not beat myself up about it. But I have in the past definitely got to that point. And do you know what? That just puts you in a cycle, because then you feel like shit. And what do you do when you feel like shit? You eat crap. And what happens when you eat crap? You get fat. And it just and then you hate yourself more. So I think there are many ways that we can show love to ourselves. And I was so interested to get your perspective on that, because I wanted to demonstrate, I guess, that it's not just a one and done thing. It's not like you're going to go, I love myself, the end. Everything's perfect. I'm the right weight. I've got the right money, the right job, the right relationship, It's a constant thing. There will always be that element of, or maybe that's a limiting belief, but there will always be the potential for a bit of sabotage. And that comes from old belief systems, right? That comes from old, stale experiences that we've had in the past that we're drawing from. So it's just constantly checking in and going, well, do I even believe that now? I don't know about you, Kristi, with the way that you work with your clients, but when people are talking about their beliefs, quite often when you start to call them out and you actually write that stuff down, they'll go, but I don't even think, that's not even what I think anymore. That's how I used to think when I was 15 or whatever. I'm 42 now. I don't believe that anymore. And it's so possible to have old conversations and old paradigms running around in your energy that can just trip you up.
Well, the thing about it is, again, it's that awareness and that when you know something's off or that you want to change, that's the whole part. Like, again, it just doesn't matter what other people think or what you've been in the past. It's where are you now? And then what are you doing about it? And that's where, you can have a victim mentality, or you can have like an empowerment mentality that says, I'm in charge of me. I'm in charge of what I put in my mouth, where I go, what I do. And so, is it easy? Yeah, it is for me. Like, I've created a routine. So I used to say at work, when I worked in the corporate, there was lots of lunches that I could have attended and stuff, but I always went to the gym at noon, and that was the class, and that's when I enjoyed, and now I was successful. But it wasn't like I was like, do I feel like it? It's like, after a while, yeah, I did, because it just surges. Like, there's so many benefits. The body is a benefit, but there's like so many benefits to it. And not to mention health and vitality and energy. But, it's this sabotage though. Like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Like, don't should yourself. People should themselves. And if you could that's the self-love, is just own what you want and do something about it. But but to sit in this, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that. Like, I have a girlfriend, and I just love that she knows she knows she's rocking out like you say, you can make any excuse. I mean, I'm not really, I don't care about the excuses. What are you going to do about it? Like, so, now it got to a point, she got a program online, she's working on her diet, and you know what? She's feeling great because she's taking her power back to do something about it. And that is the whole, any issue you have. Yes, we all have them. And don't feel overwhelmed, right? Pick one and figure out what feels right. What could you do about that? You want to brainstorm a little bit, because there's so many ways to get through things. And that's why I want to help people, because sometimes, when you think about the people you're talking to, are they educated in that field? Are they successful in that area? Because for me, I try to emulate people that have what I'm looking for,
Right. Yeah. Same.
So, is it hard? No, it's not, but it takes commitment, like what's your reason why you don't, I know it's COVID, and I hear a lot about that. And it's like, it's COVID for me too, but what makes me pull up my mat, put out my 15-pound weights, throw in some wicked music, and just do it? There's so much more. Is it because I love myself? Probably. I'm putting myself as a priority, So it's just kind of, there doesn't need to be excuses. There just needs to be a decision, and then a follow through and a consistency. You will get results if you follow that formula in anything you do.
And an owning of that decision as well. I just want to say hello to Amanda Foster, who's watching on Facebook, and also Wendler, if you're still there. Hello, guys. For some reason, you didn't come up on our comments here, but I just spotted you over there as well. And hello to everyone still on Instagram, still joining us. We're asking the question, what does self-love mean to you? And we've got onto the topic of emotional set points. We've been talking about weight and diet, and and whether that's an act of self-love in itself. There's one more place I want to dig into in this conversation before we move on, just because it's so valid, and I think some people may not even be aware that this is a thing. But do you know what? It's very, very common very, very common for people to subconsciously self-sabotage themselves in an area when another area is going well, and especially if that's an area that you've struggled in for a while. So if you start to, like, say, for example, weight has always been your thing, and now you're suddenly not struggling in that area anymore, and you're in shape and you're doing well, it's so common then for you to find that suddenly your work suffers, or your relationships turn to shit, or something like that. And so many people go, oh, well, that's just life. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just life. I read a book, Kristi, I'm sure you've heard of this book, but there's an amazing book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Have you heard of this?
No.
Oh my God, Kristi, you're going to love it. You're going to absolutely love it. It's all about this, right? Literally I think it must be the first chapter, and I had it on Audible. Like, I had it on, I was in my shower, because that's when I like to listen to my books. And I was literally going, yes, yes, like in agreement with it, because he's basically saying that we all have this like glass ceiling. It's this subconscious idea of it can't be any better than this, right? And as soon as we start to get close to our life being that good, we're telling ourselves, we can't have it that good. For some reason, we're not worthy of it being that good. Or maybe you just believe that it's not possible for it to be that good because of the world you see around you. So then we start to subconsciously self-sabotage ourselves. And I'm almost amused by the fact that this is my thing right now, because truly I've dropped weight before, but it was after I had my kids. And I'm like you, it wasn't hard. It really wasn't. It was a decision. It was like, right, I've had my kids. I don't want to stay this size. What do I do? Here's what I do. Okay, gonna do it. And it didn't always feel easy. I didn't always feel like going to the gym, but I friggin' went to the gym and I got the results. I dropped 4.5 stone after my first child. I mean, the photos are ridiculous. My best friend refused to believe it was even me. She was like, I don't even remember you looking like that. But the fact of the matter is, like you said, because my mind was made up, I knew I could do it. I knew I had all the information. I educated myself. I did the thing and I was done. That was it. Bosh. It's interesting to me. Yeah, go.
Sorry, I have an example about like with men.
Yeah.
Like talk about what you're used to. And so it was this thing about not being able to be vulnerable and not it was almost like I'd wonder if they liked me. I wouldn't even question, do I like them? Like, of course I'd feel it or not, but like, and recently, and I mean, I've done a lot of work on myself, and it is amazing to me. Sometimes you're where you are because there's a lesson to be learned. And sometimes it takes a long time. And often the big stuff, the stuff we really want, are the hardest things to overcome. And so I don't want people to think that you can just go and it's done. It's really good when you have a big lesson, because there's so many gems in it. And I had to walk through all the different men and all the different kinds of relationships for me to finally be like, wait a minute, I always knew what I wanted. And my mentor, she would laugh because she'd see my list. She'd hear me talking, and then she'd see me allow this person into my life. She'd be like, man, girl, she was so quiet, kind. She doesn't judge, so she never said anything. Now I'm like, oh my God, I finally get it. Like, I'll decide. I know what I want. Now they're on interview and I get to decide, because I am worth all the things that I want. And it's worthiness. It's this, my set point. I mean, I had great men. I don't ever want to make it sound like that, but they weren't for me. Like there was things I still wanted within me that I settled for. And sometimes we settle for the weight we're at, or we settle for, like you're talking about, the money. And I just feel like sometimes none of that really matters until you know what you're capable of. And then, it does take time, and it takes certain shifts and different realizations, which you learn through different people, right? You can hear the same sentence time and time again. I mean, I heard it for 10 years. Get clear, set your intentions, believe you're going to have it. Well, I'm telling you right now, because I just experienced this, there's a way big difference between having a belief of something and knowing something. And when I fell right into my power, I was just like, holy, what a difference. That is power. And that is what I want to help people with, is what is it that you're, where are you jamming your circuits or self-sabotaging yourself that I know you can break past, but it does take time, and you got to let these life experiences show up to really milk them for what they're worth, and not in a negative way, not like, what a jerk. He didn't commit fully. He was too casual. I wanted commitment, but he was too casual. Like, no, he's on his own journey too. So it's like, once you really get clear on what it is you want, and really feel like you can have it, that it's time. It may not be time, but you'll get there. I promise you. Yeah. So, that's the whole, there's no like rush to the finish. There's no end game. There's no, it's just listening to your guidance that says, why don't you do this? Why don't you try this? Go there.
Yeah.
But without getting quiet, you don't hear those whispers. You don't hear the guidance.
Yeah, you're so right. And actually, even if people do hear the guidance, they often then bring up all the reasons why that wouldn't be a good idea straight away. So it's practice, and it is a practice. It's practicing, trusting that guidance and acting on it, and then trying to ignore all of those other little things that are coming in. I love this conversation. I just want to switch it up a little bit because I really want to use you while you're here, use and abuse your expertise. I want to talk about the fact that for a lot of people, this concept of self-love sounds fluffy, mamby-pamby, like a bit, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, love yourself, you know. And I'm like, I am not built that way. And I know lots of people are not built that way. Like, I call myself a hippie, but I'm definitely not somebody skipping around my garden with flowers in my hair, like hugging trees. Like, that's just not me. And the first time I came across this concept of self-love, I suppose, was when I was in a conference. And one of the speakers was an EFT practitioner. And her whole spiel was on being worthy of love for yourself. And so when she said that this is what we were going to do, I literally rolled my eyes and was like, oh my God, like this just got weird, because we were all tapping going, I love myself, I accept myself, like, and I was like, weirdos, like, no, this is not for me at all. And I just think, you know, for people who feel like self-love is a bit like mamby-pamby, fluffy, like it's not a real thing, can you just speak some wisdom into what it really is, why it's not a bunch of fluff, and why we all need to be paying attention to it more if we're not already?
Well, I just know because I've done the work. I just know because I know the difference between being disempowered and being empowered. And because I've done it, I like the self-love piece. And, you know, there is a big difference between self-love and self-care. Like, I think we're all like we're self-caring so much that we have forgotten about who we really are and what's really important to our heart. So I don't really ever talk about self-care. I think people have that.
Yeah.
But the self-love is the going within part. And what I believe it is just not truly knowing who you really are in a way of, you know, what do I enjoy? Where do I like to be? Like, who do I like to be around? What makes me feel good? It's a lot of just getting to know yourself. And I don't know about anybody else, but I know through my childhood, you know, I really wanted approval. I wanted credit. I wanted attention. I wanted all these things outside of me. And holy Toledo, it took a long time for me to realize that all that's all just external fleeting stuff. It doesn't, that is not what makes me wake up and want to seize my own day. Right now, now is I've got a bunch of puppets on my string, and depending how they act, well, then I'll feel good or not. And that's just not how it works. And, you know, my only responsibility is to be in control and in charge of my own joy. We just can't control people, you know, we can't control much. And so when you realize that and start working on what you can control, which is your thoughts, I mean, all this stuff takes work, and there's processes and ways to make it a little bit easier. But I have just found it's to have that, and self-love, like you said earlier, I think we all do truly love who we are. I do, but I think we're hurt, and we've got these old tapes, and until you get rid of them, you just won't have the power that you know you have, because you're scared. You don't have the courage to look at somebody and say, hey, you know, that didn't feel right to me. Or, you know, why do you think you can talk to me like that? Or what have I done that makes you defensive? Or, whoa, you must have triggered me there because I'm feeling really defensive. And you know, it comes into being honest and truthful. Like, I think so many people walk away from a situation and think, oh, why didn't I say that? Right? Well, when you get connected to yourself, I mean, you're clear. So when things show up, it takes courage and vulnerability to say, like, ooh, that was hard for me. Or I'm uncomfortable with this, or what should we do about this? You know, I
Yeah.
believe we're all a team, but if you're not your own team first, you're just so worried about what other people think and what other people are going to say. And there's no power there.
I think that is such an important point. And I'm going to just give an example, because on the one hand, I think that I still look for approval. I think it's a human thing, and I still do that. I definitely try to steer away from confrontation in some cases. In other cases, I'm like a bull in a china shop. So I think it depends. But the biggest lesson I learned in my own self-development was taking ownership for my own shit and not putting it on anything or anyone else. And this is like the biggest lesson I learned. And it was not an easy lesson to learn. It felt uncomfortable as crap. And I tried to run away from it. It was like, oh, it can't be that. And I learned a long time ago to pay attention when I'm triggered. Because, you know, so many people get butthurt about it and like, oh, I'm not going to talk to that person anymore, blah, blah, blah. And for sure, there's toxic situations that you get to remove yourself from, for sure. But at the same time, I know there are people I have in my life that have the power to trigger me in the best possible ways. And they tend to be the people that I go to when I really need to be shifted. One great example, I won't name them just in case they don't want me to, but someone that I work with, they'll know who it is if they see this. But someone that I've worked with previously, who's never afraid to just serve it up to me as it is, right? No frills. It's literally bam, that's where it is. And I remember having a session with them years ago now, and I'd gone in certain with what my issue was. I was like, this is my problem. This is what I need help with, and you need to help me fix it, right? Absolute. I call it Rapunzel syndrome, where you've shut yourself in a tower, you're throwing all your hair out the window, and then you're waiting for someone to come and rescue you, right? Yeah. And so I went in my Rapunzel state and was like, this is my issue, you have to fix it. Because that's disempowerment, right? When you don't think that you can do it on your own, that's disempowerment.
Yeah.
And this person basically, you know, in a nutshell, was like, the problem that you think is the problem isn't the problem. This is the problem. And said something else. And I was like, it's not. Like, no, it's not. And I was so pissed off. And I was like, they didn't listen to me. They don't get it. Oh, poor me. Blah, 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 blah. But because I'd learnt this lesson already, after I calmed down and after I let my human have her little like hissy fit moment, I sat with it and was like, wow, the truth is, if you didn't see any truth in what they just said, you would have no reaction to it, right? I used to teach my kids this when I taught children in performing arts, and they would come up and go, so-and-so said I was ugly. I'd be like, okay, if so-and-so said you were a pink reindeer, would that upset you? They'd be like, no. And I'm like, why? Like, well, because I'm not a pink reindeer. Right. And you're not ugly either. So why are you getting upset? Right. Same thing. So I was like, so if I'm feeling triggered by something someone has said, especially when it's in that context, like it wasn't a heated argument, they weren't being mean, they were just giving me the information, I was like, I need to pay attention to this. So I sat with it. And overnight, like for 24 hours, I just sat with it. And I was like, okay, well, let's just say, for argument's sake, that there's truth in what they're saying. In what way am I seeing truth in that? How could that be true? And through that thought process, I actually got to the other side of it. And it was a huge breakthrough, not least because the problem I thought I had actually wasn't a problem at all. It was something completely separate that was so easy to fix, right? And I think so often we think our problem is, oh, that I'm overweight, or I don't have the right partner, or I don't have enough money. None of those things are the problem. None of those things are the true problem. That's just what you think the problem is. And this is how we get stuck, because we just go round and round in circles, continually trying to fix that. And like you say, continually trying to find, like validation and answers that are outside of us. And if our entire reason for being is to reconnect to who we are and to reconnect to our own power, then none of that is ever going to work. And so I learned a long time ago to pay attention to when I'm triggered. But I think so many people do not know that that's the case, you know, and so many people, they put their faith outside. And whether that's in It could be in a relationship, right? So many people get into bad relationships because they're putting too much on the other person. They're doing the Rapunzel thing. They're going, wow, I've got all this shit, but it's not my fault because I went through all this stuff and I'm hurt and poor me. But like, you need to be perfect though. You over there, you need to have it all figured out. Like, you can't come with your baggage. No, you have to make sure I'm okay. You know, I think it sounds harsh, and for sure we don't have to put up with crap from anybody at all, but you do get to take responsibility. And at the end of the day, if there's anything in your life that does not feel like the experience you want to be having, the buck stops with you. Because in the moment that you realize that, you give your power back to yourself. You realize that for sure there's support that you can get from outside sources. You can absolutely ask for support from elsewhere, and the chances are you're going to need that. Like, none of us are meant to walk on our own. But in the moment that you realize that it started with you, you just got your power back. And guess what? You just realize that you're the one that can fix it. And if you're the one that can fix it, then you don't have to look anywhere else.
Well, and you know, Lily, I have to say, you know how on our podcast, I talked about my mom and how much I learned that the work I had to do was because of those things.
Yeah.
You know, I have to also say, because she was such a good teacher for me, and oftentimes the people that are hard on you, I mean, they did it for you in a sense, right? I had to learn how to become good on my own without her approval. And I hear, even recently, I hear her voice still, right? Even though we reprogram it, it doesn't go away. We just have to decide if we believe it or not. And like I said, you know, sometimes we even take what people say the wrong way. Like, that she didn't even probably mean half this stuff, but I took it away because I was sensitive or whatever I was feeling that day. But what she also said to me back when I was young was, I think I was upset about something, and she was just like, you know, Kristi, just go get happy. Just go be happy. Like, I just want you happy. And what she was saying, and at the time I was like, well, that's rude. Not everybody's happy all the time. You know, like I was either sure I was in my teens. But I think about that today because I'm so about my own happiness.
Yeah.
And it's so critical to me to own that it's my job. And I thought she was so darn right, because it's everyone's individual responsibility to create a life that brings them joy. And so, you know, that part, now I know exactly what she meant. So, you know, when I talk about these relationships, I'm always like, hey, I want to be the icing on your cake. Like, go get your cake. I got my cake. I've built my cake. I just want some fun, right? So I'm happy. I want to be happier for sure. But like, I don't believe, I'll just tell you something. When you do this inner work and you get to that own place on your own, happiness isn't something you buy and then you put in your pocket and you have it forever. It's something you work on all the time. It builds and grows and builds and grows, just like confidence.
Yeah.
But now you get in a relationship and you just are like, I just don't think things should be hard, because you've got, you know, a couple happy people and you're coming together and there's nothing you can't solve. There's no problem, you know, with the right communications tools and skills. That I just think it's so individual, that responsibility falls upon all of us. And you know what? You don't have to do the work. You don't. People that are listening to this clearly are pulled. And I have to say, that takes courage. It takes courage to know that you have the power. It takes courage to know that it's within you to be better, because it's going to take work and it's going to take a commitment. So, you know I keep kind of throwing these words out because, again, repetition is helpful. But when you want something, you can have it. You just have to believe it, and you have to know that you're responsible for you. It's a real ownership thing. And yes, being kind to yourself and loving yourself, I believe, is the first step, because then you bring that to the world, right? Then you bring that to the people in your life. You bring this happy, content, satisfied person. And when you shift off, you know what to do, because you've gotten to know yourself. You've figured out what works, what gets you back in alignment, what brings you joy, what doesn't. And, you know, it's as much as I say it's work, it's not hard work. I think learning about yourself should be the most fascinating thing in the world, because
I was going to say, yeah, it's quite often referred to as work, but I'm obsessed with it. Like, I literally am obsessed with it. It's become such because it really does work. This
Yeah.
stuff really works. Like, I know, you know, when I embark on this next chapter of me getting myself back in shape, the
Yeah.
first thing I'm going to do is hit my journal. Before I do anything else, I'm going to hit my journal. I'm going to give a voice to all of these fears and all of these thoughts in my head that are actually not mine. A lot of them are just picked up from, you know, things I've seen or experiences, old experiences, things I believed before I knew better, like all of that. And I will just, first of all, journal that out. And then second of all, affirm what I'm choosing. You said it earlier, you know, this is choice. This is about, you know, knowing what you want and then owning it, making that decision, and just, you know, saying to yourself, it doesn't matter what the decision is, there's no right or wrong, but it's no longer belly aching like, oh, you know, like, all right, full disclosure, I had an ice cream before we went live. I've got the wrapper here, right? I'm not even sorry about it. It was a really nice ice cream. But that's
Good.
what I mean, right? The worst thing I could do now is to look at this wrapper and be like, oh, this is why I'm fat. Oh,
that's right. That's right.
I chose the ice cream. And what I didn't do, which is what I will start doing again, what I didn't do was pick it up and go, what do I choose? Like, what do I actually choose? What do I want more in this moment? Do I want the chocolatey, minty goodness? Or do I want this to be in this shape? Do I want to be that kind of person? And the thing is, sometimes I am going to choose the ice cream, but then you've chosen the ice cream. So enjoy the fucking ice cream. Like, don't eat the ice cream, then beat yourself up. That's a waste of ice cream.
Well, you know, I remember my mentor always said too, oftentimes it's not the thing that actually hurts you. It's the guilt and the shame around it. Right. Like I remember back in the, I mean, I used to smoke and I remember saying, well, I really like it. And she's like, enjoy it then. Like,
yeah.
And I mean, no doctor's going to agree with me, but like the guilt in doing it, if you're guilty about something, stop it. Yeah. And what is it? It's a habit. So habits, we all know they can be broken, but it takes that that consistency, the desire has to be stronger than the gain of getting it. And so again, but I love that you're just easy on yourself. Like you're really only in competition with yourself. Honestly, nobody cares. Nobody cares about, I don't care that you just had an ice cream. Doesn't affect me. Your battle is with you. And that's the battle I want to heal with people is let's get you not battling you anymore so that you can start being a little bit lighter, you know, that you can start enjoying life more. You can get rid of some of this stress that you're holding because it's a battle inside.
The thing I love about that, and this is a beautiful full circle moment. And as we're coming to the end, it's just a brilliant way to finish. The thing I love about that is right at the start, you said that it was, I've lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Right at the start, we were talking about, oh man.
Was it like self-sabotage?
Thanks for watching. No, I can't remember. What was it? Oh, what was it? It was a full circle moment. Anyway, guys, you're going to have to go back and watch this thing. We've just come full circle, though. We've come full circle with regards to, you know, making these choices for ourselves, realizing there is no right or wrong. Like Kristi said, nobody cares that I had an ice cream. Like, do I care that I had an ice cream? No, actually, it was a really nice ice cream. But if I did care, then you can make a decision to come away from that, right? It's about that ownership, and it's not about doing something because you should. It's about recognizing that all the options are there. Like, what options are you going to take? What options are you going to follow to get the result that you want? And I think what lies at the root of all of this, which is also a nice place to finish. I'm gutted that I lost my train of thought, but whatever. What lies at the root of this actually is, what do you believe you're worthy of? What do you truly believe you can have, right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you don't truly believe you can have it all, then you're going to find a way to make sure that you don't have it all. You know, we're constantly looking for that validation. We're constantly looking for the things that back up what we believe. So if you want to change something about your experience truly, look at what you believe about it first, because your beliefs are powerful. Because if you actually believe, like you guys have been watching, you saw the certainty in Kristi's face when she said, you can absolutely have anything that you want. You can create that, right? And I said on the podcast how much confidence you have, because it just oozes out of you. But that's it, right? And you saw that certainty. because Kristi believes that's true for Kristi. Like, really get that.
But know that was a process. That wasn't me waking up one day saying, oh, I can have it all. No,
Yeah.
I didn't. Beliefs, again, what we said, beliefs are just a thought you keep thinking. So those thoughts have to be reprogrammed a little bit. And then you utilize life experience to practice and to play, because you're going to get your answers and you're going to always be like, how did that feel? What did I get from that? What did I gain? How could I do better? You know, but being kind to yourself, not beating yourself up about what you didn't do. And, you know, like while I'm talking, I'm going to keep talking. I think everybody has all these tools. I do. I think everybody has confidence within them. I think everybody has courage within them. It's about sharpening them. It's about getting better at those skills, because that's why the negative crap brings you back down, is because you haven't done the right things to build yourself up. And that is the inside job. It is important to build yourself up. You guys know that. One negative thing, you need 5 positives. I remember when I was with my friends, and if they'd put me down, I'd be like, oh, now you have to build me back up. You know, like, you have to know how that works in your brain and what you take in and what you believe. And beliefs are a great thing. I mean, we could do an hour on belief systems, but you're absolutely right. I think for me, at the end of the day, I'll always say this: what's your issue and what are you doing about it? Because that is what will get you. And then you can make decisions. Is this going to get me towards my goal or not? You make that mental, like, you know, I'm all about my heart, but I got an intellect too that I'm going to utilize when I need it.
Yeah.
You know?
And that goes for your excuses as well. Like what you just said, is this taking you towards your goal or away from it? That goes for excuses as well. If you feel like your excuses are valid, brilliant, fine, keep them then. But then run them through that question. Is believing that going to get you where you want to go? Because if it's not, let go of it, right? Yeah. It's all down to you in the end. I absolutely love it. I'm so gutted. I had a brilliant way to round it off, and I don't know where it went. It's out in the ether. It will come back if it's supposed to. But I just thought, to finish off then, for the people watching, whether they're here live, and by the way, thank you for joining us live. There's a bunch of people that have watched us on Instagram tonight. I can see people on Facebook as well. I don't know if YouTube is watching, but I know we're live on YouTube as well. So wherever you're watching from, thank you so much for being here. You know, and if you're watching on replay, don't forget you can put your questions and your comments in. We love to see them. Just to round off, I would love, Kristi, for you to, if it's possible, give maybe 3, maybe 4 steps that people could do right now. Like, if they've been watching this going, oh, okay, well, first of all, I didn't know what self-love was. I thought self-love meant like taking a bath or a shower, you know, and having a face mask or whatever. I didn't realize what it was. Could you give maybe try to start to set them on that path to self-love? I mean, I know you've already made the point that intrinsically we love ourselves already, and I love that as a great place to start, because already, if it feels overwhelming, then it doesn't have to, because you're actually already there. So what are some steps people can take to reconnect to that truth that's already in them?
Well, for people that do want more, I actually did create a PDF on my website that is called 12 Ways to Love Yourself. It's kind of to love yourself more. I'm sure you already do these things, but I was helping out a client, and I kind of whipped it off to her on an email, and I thought, you know, I should probably share this with people. So if you go to my website, everythingbeginswithin.com, it'll just be a pop-up, and it's just a bunch of things that I do that maybe can help you too. But, you know, if you want 3 things, I think for me, the biggest things is to always pay attention to my inner voice, my inner guidance. What's it saying to me? And for that, you have to get quiet. So I don't know, maybe that comes first. But I think it's important to listen. And, you know, when we talk about the things we want, what you resist persists. So you can play games with yourself all day long and think that that's okay, but it's really not. So it's about being very honest with yourself, private. You don't have to tell people this. You don't have to tell your friends or your husband or your besties what you're working on. This can be a very private journey. And, you know, in fact, it should be, because, you know, until people learn to stop judging, you're going to be judged. So it can be a very private journey to honor your heart and to honor your own spirit and where you want to be. But so I would say to listen, to pay attention to your true thoughts, to your true self, because when you get rid of all the crap, there is love there for you. There is. It's the baby born at the beginning of, when you were the baby out of your mother's womb, like that's all love.
Yeah.
And you were meant to be here. You're meant to
Yes.
be here. There's no accidents. Everybody is very special. And we're unique. We're all special, but we're unique. Our paths are unique. And then, be kind to yourself. Have compassion. Everybody's so good for other people, right? But start paying attention to what you're saying to you. Step one in my self-love course is like, be your own best friend. And you know how to be that to other people. So you need to start bringing that in, and you start that awareness, right? And then, I don't know, the third thing, gratitude's a big one. There's already so many things going well in your life. And I think so often we get a bit like, what can I have? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? And I've been there. I was like that. And you get to a point now, all I want to do is give. I don't care. I don't need anything. I just don't. That's not my true state of happiness and joy. Comes from just loving who I am and loving that I woke up, like I got breath today. I'm allowed to live another day, and it doesn't have to be bouncing off the wall. It's just it's a comfort in your heart that says, I like where I am today, and I'm really excited for the future because I'm in charge of it. Who else is in charge of who else is in charge of your future? Lily? Really? It ain't your husband, and it's not your kids. These are all players. These are all players in your story that make it wonderful, and sometimes not. But you'll always have you. So I just I want people to be okay with that part. If you're okay with you, everything becomes easier.
And you know what? That was the full circle moment. Yes, we got it.
Yay.
That was the full circle moment. We started off by saying the first thing to do is be grateful for everything you've got now. And that isn't about whitewashing or pushing down true feelings or ignoring anything you're unhappy about at all. It's about going, okay, here's some stuff I'm unhappy about. What can I find, though, that is already okay? Like you said, okay, your body might not look the way you want it to, but do you like your hair today? I did an interview with a good friend of mine who I love dearly, called Amy Richmond. She was on the podcast years ago. We got her back on, actually. Amy is a nutritionist. Her story is phenomenal. She lost, I believe it was 10 stone in weight, right? And like, if you saw the before and after, you would not believe it was the same person. And I remember that podcast interview was so emotional. We were both crying at times because there was one point that she said when she absolutely hated everything about herself, and she got up in the morning and she looked in the mirror. She made herself stand there until she could find one thing that wasn't terrible. So she couldn't get to love at that point. She was like, I can't say that I love anything, but can I find something that isn't bad? Yeah. And she looked and she looked. And in the end, she was like, do you know what? I've got nice feet. My feet are pretty. And do you know what? My feet hold me up. My feet allow me to walk. And that was the process of gratitude. And as she went through her journey, she found more things to be grateful of. My legs are strong. They both work. My legs carry me, right? And oh my God, it was such an emotional part. And that was the full circle moment that I wanted to come back to. Because, for anyone that thinks this is an overwhelming thing, to anyone because it can feel like that, right? If you feel like you're here and you want to be here, it feels like you have a mountain to climb and you don't know where to begin. That's where you begin. You don't have to change anything except your perception of the situation as it is now. And that's not, again, it's not fluffy. It's not wishy-washy. It's not some light and love thing that, let's just love ourselves and it's going to be better. It actually works, because if you can find even one thing that you already love or that you're already grateful for or that is already brilliant, or like whatever language you want to use, then you've just changed your perception. You've just changed your language from going, I hate myself. I hate the way I look, right? Okay. You might hate the way this, and this looks, but what's your nose like, right? It doesn't matter how fat I get. I've got a great nose. Look at my nose, everybody. Look at it. It's a beautiful nose. It's a beautiful button nose. Like, I'm being silly, but it's so true.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that we got back to the thing. I mean, it's magic. I said if it was supposed to come through, then it would. This is how this magic works. It's been phenomenal. Kristi, thank you so much for coming back and giving us another hour of your time. Thank you to everyone that's watched live. I'm just going to run back to Facebook and make sure I didn't miss any more comments. I don't think I did. I think we are good. But if we missed any of your comments, apologies, we will get to them. And if you're watching on the replay, remember, you can do a hashtag replay. I've got a little guest. Do you want to come and say hello? Louis didn't believe that I had my own YouTube channel. And this is it, Louis. Look, Louis, there's a logo. I've got a live guest. There's a banner across the bottom.
Hi, Louis.
What? It's on Safari because that's where I'm streaming from. But if you go to YouTube right now, you'll see your mum.
I swear to God, if I don't see you in there, you're wedding this
Did
house
you say
to
hello?
me.
Say hello to Kristi. That means hello.
Oh, well, hello.
Bless him. He's got sore lips. He's got ever such sore lips.
I ain't going to school tomorrow. I'm not getting woke up again.
Well, you are. All right, whatever's Trev's. Kristi, thank you so much to everyone watching. Remember, confidence is yours. As soon as you choose it, I will be back live next Thursday with, who is it? Deborah Edwards. Deborah Edwards is going to be joining me. Her episode is coming out live on Monday, so make sure you download that. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, please go and do it. Show me some love. Tell me you love it. Write me a nice comment. Give me 5 stars. If you're not going to give me 5 stars, like, don't bother with the stars, right? Like, don't go messing with my vibe. It's a 5-star podcast right now. Don't go messing with it. And if you want to join us in the Facebook group, I mentioned it already, but it's called the Confidence Academy Podcast Facebook group. It's free. Kristi's in there. So many of the other guests are in there as well. We can have these conversations ongoing in there, so you can tag any of us in there with your questions and your comments. And just before I go, I'm very excited to announce a couple of things. First of all, the Members Club is now open and it's had a revamp. So there is a Confidence Academy Members Club. It's a monthly membership. If you want to be coached by me on an ongoing basis with masterclasses, guest experts, is that for me? Thanks very much. And all of that shizness, you can get that from my website, lilybadcock.com. And I just announced today a special offer. I've just got 10 spots for this of, it's like laser coaching. It's a one-off hour coaching session with me, but with a half-hour follow-up and unlimited Voxer/Messenger/WhatsApp coaching for the duration of that time as well. So if you need some intuitive guidance in your life, and if you want to be working with me, reach out and ask me about that, and I will send you the information. Right. The baby has lost her shit, and this child is eating ice cream. I didn't say those words.
Give me.
Hi.
Give me money.
Say hey.
Money.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Kristi, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm now going to do the very not slick thing of saying goodbye to everyone. So I'm going to say goodbye to Instagram. Instagram is fine. I can never end these in a slick way. So I'm going to say goodnight. Kristi, you won't be leaving just yet, but we'll end broadcast. Good night.
Okay.
Thank you for being here. End the broadcast.